At 81 years old, Diana Ross steps onto the Met's crimson staircase in a snow-white gown that seems to float on air. Yet, her very first words off camera that night have nothing to do with fashion. She leans into a reporter's mic and murmurs, "I think it's time the world knew what Michael was really carrying." A single sentence after 6 decades of carefully guarded loyalty, and suddenly the Queen of Motown has everyone leaning forward. What truth did she finally share? How did 2 of pop culture's brightest constellations end up orbiting one another in secret for so long? And why, after all these years? Is she speaking now? Stay with me. The answers unfold like the 18-foot train at her heels. On May 5th, 2025, Ross roared back into mainstream headlines at the Met Gala, her first appearance at the event since 2003. The silver gown, dreamed up by Nigerian designer Ugo Mosi, shimmered under the museum lights. But the real showpiece was a feathered shawl spanning 18 feet. Hidden on its underside, delicately stitched in platinum thread, were the names of her 5 children and 8 grandchildren. A moving family roll call, she revealed later on Instagram. When Vogue's livestream host asked why she'd risk the carpet chaos during an active world tour, Ross laughed. "This wasn't my plan," Evan insisted, she said, glancing at her son who beamed at her side. Evan had apparently pushed his mother to attend, arguing that the carpet needs mom's magic. The sight of the 81-year-old diva owning the night reminded fans she is still a working powerhouse. Only weeks earlier, she'd packed out New York's King's Theater and told the crowd, "I'll never retire." Transition, yet behind that feathered halo lay unfinished business that even diamonds couldn't outshine. Flashback to 1969. Motown president Berry Gordy introduces a 10-year-old prodigy named Michael Jackson to his label's reigning star. Ross soon headlines an LA Forum show and proudly presents the Jackson 5 as her hand-picked protégés, accelerating their launch with the album Diana Ross Presents the Jackson 5 and their televised Hollywood Palace spot that October. Inside Motown's tight-knit clan, the bond quickly deepened. Ross nurtured Michael in dressing rooms, rehearsals, and late-night bus rides. Industry old-timers still recall the boy dancing in her sequined gowns when the crew had packed up for the night. To Michael, she wasn't just a big sister. She was the person who translated the bewildering glare of showbiz into something survivable. Transition. But adoration has a flip side: loneliness. And that's when the phone calls started. Fans have swapped stories for years about Michael's 3 a.m. pleas for reassurance. One account, archived on fan forums and echoed in biographer Clay G. Small's recollections, describes Ross answering a whispering Michael who simply asked, "Am I loved for me?" Those whispers exploded into the public square in late June 2025, when a TikTok mashup and a YouTube upload titled, "At 81, Diana Ross finally tells the truth about Michael Jackson," went viral. The 6-minute montage stitches new interview audio, allegedly taped in March, over archival footage. While the source clip remains unverified, one line sets social feeds ablaze. "He never stopped being that little boy holding onto my hand." Skeptics argue it's AI manipulated. Supporters insist Ross granted a quiet sit-down earlier this spring. Either way, the leak reignited decades-old fascination with their emotional tether. Transition. Yet Diana knows secrecy, because she once kept her own clandestine romance off the Motown radar. In April 2023, soul legend Smokey Robinson stunned readers of The Guardian, and later repeated the tale in a February 2025 People follow-up, by confirming a year-long beautiful affair with Ross in the late 1960s, while he was still married to Claudette. Asked point-blank whether his 1975 ballad, The Agony and the Ecstasy, chronicled their secret, he chuckled, "She's my longest living friend. Oh yes, she's my babe." The confession reframed Ross not merely as Motown's polished muse, but as a woman juggling passion, ambition, and loyalty in an era that left little room for black female autonomy. It also contextualized why she guarded Michael so fiercely. She understood tabloid hunger intimately. Transition. That protectiveness hit center stage during the most volatile chapter of Michael's legacy. When HBO's Leaving Neverland ignited fresh outrage in 2019, Ross broke years of near silence. She tweeted, "I believe and trust that Michael was and is a magnificent, incredible force. Stop in the name of love." The phrase, echoing her 1965 Supreme smash, was both plea and shield. Supporters applauded the loyalty. Critics blasted her for ignoring serious accusations. Remarkably, the tweet also reminded the public that Michael's 2002 will lists Ross as backup guardian of his 3 children, a legal role she never had to assume but quietly honored. Transition. The backlash was fierce, but Ross had weathered storms before. Most recently, a health jolt that almost sidelined her forever. In late 2024, Ross agreed to headline AMFAR's inaugural Las Vegas gala, only to disappear from rehearsals after a reported bout of exhaustion. Insiders say brief hospitalization forced her to reassess touring grinds. 2 months later, she took the stage, radiant but notably reflective, dedicating Reach Out and Touch to everyone who forgets to rest. Friends claim that scare nudged her toward the tell-all she's quietly recording, spurred on by family. "Mom, set the record straight. Your words," Evan reportedly urged during Met Gala prep. Transition. And so, cameras rolled this spring on a conversation meant for archival release, until a clip slipped out. Portions of that conversation, if genuine, reveal Ross describing Michael as beautiful, not broken, burdened. She recounts late-night calls, plastic surgery regrets, and an almost childlike plea. "If they boo the mask, will you still clap for Michael?" She even confirms long-rumored paperwork. Jackson asked her to accept guardianship if his mother could not. The leaked segment ends with a haunting line. "He lived in the echo of applause, so loud he couldn't hear his own heartbeat." Whether Ross intended the footage for public consumption or a private documentary, its appearance has triggered fresh investigative pieces, think pieces, and a bidding war for official distribution rights. Ross's camp remains silent, silence that only amplifies intrigue. Which brings us to the question bigger than any rumor. Diana Ross has spent 60-plus years mastering spectacle, but her most enduring talent may be the way she folds vulnerability into velvet without letting it wrinkle. The last survivor of Motown's original royal court now stands in the bright twilight of her career, balancing a microphone in one hand and a legacy in the other. By speaking on Michael now, however cautiously, she reframes him from tabloid headline to complicated human mirror, reflecting her own journey through genius, criticism, and survival. Ross seems to be asking us to notice the people beneath the personas, the shaky 10-year-old boy who hid behind her sequins, the young woman torn between ambition and forbidden love, the matriarch who still sews her family's names into the fabric of her gowns so she never walks alone. So what exactly did Diana Ross finally tell? Perhaps less a single scandalous secret and more a plea. Remember the humanity inside the myth. In rediscovering Michael's aching heart, she reveals her own. And maybe that's the boldest act yet, from a woman who has spent her life shimmering beyond reach, lowering the feathered shawl just enough for us to see the ordinary pulse beneath the extraordinary sparkle. The train has passed. The cameras have flashed, but the conversation she sparked is only beginning. Now it's our turn to decide. Will we keep chasing headlines, or will we finally listen to the heartbeat behind the music?